Hey, welcome to another episode of B to Z. On this episode, we'll talk about the BVAC. The BVAC is not a design that I've made. It's just a system that I've copied from YouTube. There are plenty of videos out there on YouTube on this actual BVAC. So again, I'm not taking credit for the design of this system. With that note, the BVAC consists of 4 main parts. You have your top adapter, the screen, the hive body, and then the bottom adapter. The vacuum is on the side. It gets plugged into the top. The top adapter consists of the box. The top is a box basically, and let me step back for just a moment and explain that the way I made my BVAC is I grabbed a regular hive body, and in this case a 10 frame, and I cut it to the dimensions that I wanted, or height, and then made the modifications to those carts to make the BVAC. Now in this case, I put a top cover over it, and then drilled a hole to match my vacuum hose. And it's a very tight fit. I drilled a second hole and put a wood with a screw on a corner to be able to regulate the amount of suction they're putting on the BVAC. The other side of the top adapter has 1/8 inch or number 8 hardware cloth stapled on the perimeter to prevent from any bees getting sucked into here and into the actual vacuum, and if they make it to the vacuum, they'd be dead. The next section is a screen. This screen is a frame with a track on the 3 sides, 1, 2, and 3, and on this front side it actually goes all the way through. The screen is used for when the vacuum job is complete. You remove the top adapter to let the bees have plenty of ventilation. Also, what the screen is used for is when you bring the bees to your apiary, you can introduce them into your cutout comb box. So you grab your cutout comb, place it right on top, and then pull your screen out a few inches, halfway, any distance really that's more than bee space. The bees will go ahead and make it to the top, and that's the main purpose for the actual screen section here. The third part is your hive body, and this is just a standard, in this case a 10 frame hive body. It's got 10 frames in there, and the 10 frames should have some foundation or some comb. This way when the bees get inside, they can crawl up and actually hang on to something. The last section is this bottom adapter. The bottom adapter has a ramp. Okay, and another hole here, again, to the exact dimension of your shop vac hose, so it's a nice tight fit. I use a regular shop vac hose. It's ribbed, and a although it is ribbed, it's actually quite smooth on the inside. If you set your suction regulator on your top adapter to just enough where the bees start to get sucked in through the hose, you won't have an issue with bee death inside the hose. This is a 10-foot section. I've used up to 20-foot section without any issues. The nice thing about having this bottom section is when you're vacuuming, you'll vacuum up rocks, leaves, crud, insulation, etc. from the area that you're vacuuming from, and all that material will stay right down in this section here. There isn't much suction once the bees get out of the hose. In the big open space, there isn't a lot of suction, so the bees aren't be throwing out about and hitting the walls. That is what some people would imagine when you use a bee vacuum. But the vacuum is really very slight, and it's only here. You don't want to close that regulator all the way so that you're using full bore suction on this, because then yes, they're going to die. You want to adjust the little regulator so that the bees can will come in here ever so slightly as you put them on it. Once they exit the hose, they actually walk on this bottom board, and then they just go right into your hive body. It's a very simple design. Again, you grab your hive body that you're going to use, or cut a box to that dimension, and then cut it to the size that you need. Once after 2 days that the screen has been pulled at your apiary, then what I do is I just move the entire setup to the side off of where they're going to be. And what I would do is I would recommend that you set it exactly where you want them to keep it, where you want them to be. So, and then grab your hive body, put your comb into it, right on top of the bottom board. Grab your hive that was part of the vacuum setup, and just set that to the side. If you want to shake the bees, or just put them up to the front, and they'll crawl right into your cutout comb right through the front entrance. Same thing with this bottom adapter. Just set it to the side, or if you want to shake them in there, if that's what you want to do. I like to use queen excluder below the entrance of the cutout comb and above it, and then I put a super. Most times when I do cutouts, for some reason, the swarm, the bees will swarm away. Even though they have all this cutout comb, they'll still for some reason swarm away. So what I do is once I put them on, I put the bottom board, I put a queen excluder, move the box with the comb on it on top of the queen excluder, put a queen excluder on top of this box, and then put a super. So I manage all my hives with one brood box. So that's why I put a queen excluder above the one brood box. If you don't do that, then there's no need for the top queen excluder. But if you want to prevent them from losing or from watching your bees fly away with all your hard work, then I would highly recommend you put your bottom board, queen excluder, and then your box. Most times what happens is that if they do decide to swarm, they'll swarm away. 10-15 minutes later, they'll realize that the queen is not with them, and they'll come right back into the box. Now, how do you keep all this stuff together? If your cuts are not perfectly straight and your boxes are not perfectly straight and level, where all the mating surfaces are perfect, then I would recommend that you put duct tape on your seams or painter's tape. When you do this top section, I would recommend you put one on this section here and then one on this section here. You're going to have some leakage here. You can try to put one there if you want to. I say two different ones because when you're done, you're going to remove this top section. So you can just take the tape off the top, remove the box. This way your bees can ventilate. Another option could be is that you put 1/4 inch weather stripping, self-adhesive weather stripping on the edges around the different parts, and that'll give you another seal as well. I like to use some painter's tape, and that works just fine. Also, as you can see, the parts move around, so on transport you want to have it ratchet strapped. So I just grab a ratchet strap and I'll put the strap all the way around it. I'll tilt it, put the strap on around it, and then ratchet down tight. After the job is complete, I undo the ratchet strap on top, move this box, and I tighten them back up right here. Keep the whole setup as one unit until I get to the apiary. When I get to the apiary, I'll remove this ratchet, put the cutout comb on top of it, put your lid on top of it, and you're done for 1 day, 1 or 2 days. That is the Vac that I've used for a couple of years, and again, it works well. There's no need to vacuum them into one container and then dump them into another container and have them fly all over the place. With this method, it's a bit more bulkier, but you contain all the bees in the one box. I think it's a lot less intrusive, and it doesn't upset the bees as much. If you have any questions on the Vac, go ahead and post them down below. If you have any suggestions on how to make it better, go ahead and post them down below. I would also advise that you have a way to cover this after you remove this hose. You're not going to be able to get through this top screen, so there's no problems there. It's when you take this hose off, they can come out through here. So again, most of them, when they come in, they're going to crawl into this box. So it's not like you're going to open this and they're all going to come flying out of here. You're going to have some that are going to fly out, so just be ready and put something over it. Duct tape, painter's tape, or hardware cloth, and just put it on there. It's fine. You can staple the hardware cloth or just put some tape on it. I would also recommend that when you're working on the job is that you do not turn off the vacuum when you have the entire setup. The vacuum creates lots of ventilation for them to prevent the heat buildup inside. Once that vacuum is turned off, I would highly recommend that you remove the top adapter to let them ventilate on their own. This way you don't have any deaths. I can assure you that if you keep it closed and you keep your vacuum off for some time, you will have a high number of bees that are going to be dead inside there. Again, thanks for watching this episode of B to Z. Give me a thumbs up, comments down below, and don't forget, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching another episode of B to Z.